Download the app?
The entrance is this way, right?
Are you trying to get into the church? Oh, you have a ticket. Perfect. Just come around and...
Ah, ahí está.
Cortés o
I think I'm gonna set 3. You can do as many until you run out.
I'll take your picture.
There he is.
I guess. Did you get tickets for the church? Look, Levi, look at Megan. Look at me.
Stop. Just kept stopping.
Green. Well, no. I wish I would have known that because I was going around the garage sales and
I know you could have got.
I could have grabbed one for a good price. I bet you she said it yesterday and you were eating and thinking about it when I said I was going around the garage.
She's good because I wouldn't clean her.
Well, she needs to get up.
Yeah. Here. I'll give X one too when he comes back.
Right here. Oh, it's right here. Is this handing it?
west wall. Originally, there were homes along the west wall for the indigenous peoples who lived at the mission. Eventually, because of threats from raids, the missions would be fortified, and so walls would end up enclosing all of Alamo Plaza that's out front. Today, I have the post office and courthouse right up here. That building stands on top of the north wall. And the north wall used to go all the way across the street back here over to Hotel Gibbs. Anyone staying in Hotel Gibbs right now? Well, if you were, you'd be staying on top of the northwest corner. That's actually close to where William Barrett Travis would later fight in the Battle of the Alamo. The gatehouse would be built on the south wall. It was the main entrance to this site. And today there's actually an exhibit under construction back here along the south end of Alamo Plaza where the gatehouse used to stand. So this whole area, it's actually about the size of 4 football fields. Much larger than many people realize. Well, the mission population would change throughout the years. Sometimes epidemics would devastate the missions. And other times, the groups living at the missions would return to their families living outside of these mission complexes. By the 1790s, the missions were in decline. They're losing money. The Spanish are saying there's no longer a population that's willing to move into the mission. These missions end up shutting down. Well, this one shut down in 1793. And those who lived at the mission, they were granted land along with their homes that were already here and other tools that they needed to continue to live here. One of the families that lived here was Charlie. Pedro Charlie had been a carpenter here at the mission, and for his work he was granted the home that was just outside the south wall of the Alamo, and we're on the southwest corner. That's where his grandson revealed the soil. The soil was later come down in 1836. This is all connected. Without the mission here, the Alamo would not be here. Since this mission had closed, that's why the Spanish military repurposed this. And we got our name, they got the second line from
What is all that stuff mean? Flintlock, that is the ignition system that fires the weapon. Now, the piece of flint held in the jaws of the cock that strikes a piece of steel called a prison. It actually scrapes the steel open, creating a spark, and that's what fires the weapon. Now, the thing is that you have to rely on the flint, okay? And every time you fire this, the flint has to have a sharp edge in order to create the spark. Every time you fire the weapon, however, you're wearing down the flint. So they do average 1 in 7 shots of the weapon not going off. And you may see that in this demonstration. It does happen. Okay? Now, muzzle loading, what does that mean? That means that the gunpowder and ball have to be pushed down the barrel to load the weapon. So these things take a little bit of time. It's something that we're not used to today, but at that time it was customary. That's how everybody knew how to load these firearms, was down the muzzle. Okay? Now, rifling or smooth bore, what does that mean? That means there is no rifling in the barrel of these firearms. Okay, so what is rifling? Rifling is a series of cut grooves, there's usually 7, that were cut into the bore of the barrel of a rifled weapon, and they twist. And what that does is when you shoot the lead ball, and it's all lead ball this time, it's going to grab that rifling and impart a spin on the ball as it exits the barrel. And a spinning ball is going to go straight and give us a greater range. So hunting rifles, which is what you'll see mostly out here on the frontier, those typically had a range between 300 and 400 yards. Okay, they were very accurate. In fact, that would be the type of weapon Colonel Crockett had with him. Men coming here from Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia that are coming to help in this war, and men living out here because it was a hunting firearm. Okay? Now, the problem with rifled weapons, and with all weapons in general, because everything is muzzle loaded, was pushing the powder and ball down a rifled barrel was very difficult because the ball is grabbing that rifling. So you have to pound the ball down and sit it at the breech. So loading a rifled firearm can take up to a minute to load one shot. Okay, and that was the downside of rifled weapons. They take way too long to load. But the upside is its accuracy and range. Okay? And when this war erupts, men in Texas are grabbing whatever they have, and they're showing up with their hunting rifles. So, and they use them with pretty good effect against the Mexican army in this war. But the soldier's weapon, the musket, again, is not rifled. This is smooth bore. So the barrel of this weapon is basically a pipe. Now, if you shoot an unpatched ball out of a smooth bore weapon, the ball is going to rattle down the barrel. And whatever end it hits on the muzzle as it exits, it's going to go the opposite direction. So to prevent that from happening, soldiers would be issued paper cartridges. So this would have the ball and powder rolled up in a paper tube. So it's all there. And the paper is the wadding. This will help prevent the ball from rattling down the barrel, giving us more of a straight shot. Now, because it is not rifled, when the ball comes out, it's just flying out there. After about 75 to 100 yards, the ball is going to begin to turn, much like a knuckleball does in baseball. Up, down, left, right. We don't know where it's going to go. So if we hit anything beyond that range, it'll be by pure luck. Now, to make up for that inaccuracy of this weapon is why we would have the men in a line, elbow to elbow, and we have them all fire together at once in mass volleys. Doing that, we're going to hit more of the enemy on the field. But they're doing it to us, same thing. So the battlefield at this time is about speed of loading. And that is why we use the musket over the rifle. As I said earlier, the rifle can take a minute to load one shot. Well, the trained soldier with the musket, he should be able to load this under 20 seconds. So he should be getting 3, possibly 4 shots a minute compared to 1 with rifled weapons. Okay? And the battlefield is speed of loading. If you can fire more lead at your enemy, you're going to drive them off and take the field. That's more important than accuracy. Now, the morning of this battle, we know that all the men within these walls would have had their own personal weapon they had brought with them, but up to 4 muskets loaded next to them that morning. They're just grabbing and firing as quick as they could. But we have to know how to load it. And so we need to know the military 12-step military drill of loading this weapon. So when you start the soldier at what's called quarter arms, tell him to shoulder arms. This would be the most common way of carrying a weapon on the march. If you were infantry in the line, the weapon goes on the left shoulder. Tell him to load in 12 times. Load. Open, pen. Handle, cartridge. So again, the cartridge is a paper tube. It's got ball and powder rolled up in it. These are crimped over. The only way we can open it is to tear a cartridge. They would bite off the end of it, spit it out, and prime. So he pours gunpowder into the priming pan, then tell him to shut pen and cast about. Charge cartridge. He's going to pour that remaining powder down the barrel. With the ball in the paper, they wad it up and stuff it in the muzzle. And we've got to drive it to the breech. So tell him to draw ramrod. And ram cartridge. So he slings it in, packs it tight, return ramrod. And shoulder, arms. The weapon comes up to the left shoulder, which then tells the officer that he's loaded and ready to go. And the quickest time on the field, this must be done in 20 seconds. And it can be difficult because you are being shot at. Now when we see him at that left shoulder, we know the last 3 commands are ready, aim, and boom. Shoulder, arms. You go over the shoulder, you do it all over. Everything is one shot. So you have to do that every time. Now that man over there, that is our drummer, and he is very important. Now he's not just used to keep the men in cadence during the march, which can be intimidating to the enemy, but he's used on the battlefield because it's so loud with muskets, rifles, artillery going off. The men at the end of the line cannot hear the commands, but they can hear that drum. So he is relaying the commands to the men in the line. Now we're going to fire 3 volleys. The first shot will be done in the 12-step. The last 2 will be done in the quickest time by the drum. So again, folks, it's going to be a little loud. If you have some good ears, please cover the ears. Load in 12 times. Load. Open. Head. Handle. Cartridge. Tear. Cartridge. Prime. Shut. Head. Pass. About. Charge. Cartridge. Draw ramrod. Ram cartridge. Return ramrod. Shoulder, arms. Fire. Ready. Hey. Fire. Shoulder, arms. Order, arms. Spring, rammer. Squad, dismiss. Dissolve. Rapid Chiefs here, to a point. Thanks for coming out today, and remember the Alamo. Yeah, it's and you can't really load that with a paper cartridge to get that environment. So they developed that case for it. But you don't see more. It's actually really after the American Civil War here that you start seeing revolvers being transitioned to the paper.
Oh, yeah?
Well, Mexicans.
Right?
Another reflections on you.
Only just slightly.